I like how the premise of this movie involves the United States accidentally setting off a nuke off the coast of Tasmania, and I'm just sitting in the theater, just like, yeah, I can see that. So We Bury the Dead is a zombie film, but it's the kind of zombie movie to where if you were one of those people who did not like 28 Years Later, then you should stay very far away from this one because it's even more of a meditative experience. It's much more of a slow burn. In fact, I would even go as far as to say that a vast majority, if not all, of the zombie kills in this movie are done basically off screen with like maybe a few exceptions. And that's not because of like budgetary reasons or because they like didn't have the money for the gore or anything like that. It's just much more directly related to the themes of the film because it's a movie that is essentially all about letting go. It's about moving on. It's about grief and loss and about this kind of innate desire that we have as human beings to experience closure in some way, shape, or form, even when it seems like the entire world is actively ripping that away from you at every opportunity. Because the whole setup of the film is that Daisy Ridley plays a character whose husband was on a work trip in Tasmania when that nuke was set off, and she goes there to become part of a volunteer team to help retrieve the bodies in the surrounding areas. And she comes to learn that there is a small percentage of the people who died that do rise from the dead and, behave in zombie fashion. You know how it works, except not quite as violent and brain hungry as in other zombie films. So she becomes much more focused on tracking down her husband, getting that sense of closure, and saying those things that have previously been left unsaid. And along her journey, she does encounter various characters who embody different facets of how we desire closure. And everyone does a great job in the film, but I want to say that Daisy Ridley is fantastic in the film. I think this is some of the best work that she's ever done. A lot of it is very internal for the most part, but by the time we get to the third act, a lot of those emotions that have been kind of lurking under the surface really get to boil over, and I think she gets to show off her range really well. When I saw that this was directed by Australian filmmaker Zach Hilditch, a lot of this movie made so much more sense, especially its whole style and approach, because this is the guy who directed These Final Hours and 1932, both films that I enjoy quite a bit and are very much slow burns. And I would even go as far as to say that this feels very much like a companion piece to These Final Hours. So if you like this film, then I would highly recommend These Final Hours. So yeah, I think We Bury the Dead is a really cool addition to the zombie genre, one that's very thoughtful and interesting and different from your usual crop. So if you've seen the film, then feel free to let me know what you thought of it in the comments.